All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is John Nwosu, and I'm co-presenting with Ms. Rhonda Yearwood, my partner in greatness. And today we are here to talk about future-proof events. And the focus is going to be life and career preparation for our communities. And the idea behind this is that whatever support we're working to provide students cannot stop in the school building. It cannot stop with just the student, because we are all a part of systems of people, whether it's a family system or a community system or a school system. All that we do involves other people. So wanted to really focus on supporting entire communities and finding creative ways to bring tier 1 types of interventions outside the school building. So Yearwood and I collaborated on a series of events over the past couple of years, and we're going to share a little bit about them as well as a few other things. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First of all, got a quick little poll. Which number best describes how you currently feel? Which number best describes how you currently feel? We'll let this go for about 30 more seconds.
All right, I got this going.
Are you ordering for everybody or?
No, well, I got an account order on my own. I think I can get a free chip. But if you want
Wait, are these all, is this for like older kids?
I had turkey already.
Okay, text me what you want. I'm going to go back and look.
Okay.
Sarah, you think this is for older kids?
Which one? Somebody needs to mute.
Sorry.
All right, y'all. Let's see what the results are. All right, so we got a lot of people feeling 1, 2. We got a few people feeling 3, and then some folks are feeling 4 and then 5. So I really like using this tool. I try to use it as often as I can. It's a really quick check-in, and it's really intuitive and easy to read. So yeah, one of my goals is, however you're feeling now, I hope you feel better at the end of the presentation. So yeah, thank you all for joining again. Now, what I need everyone to do, go to wooclap.com/NSHEDD. You also can use the QR code, and we got a few questions for you to answer.
Turn your camera on. Did your teachers respond back in?
All right, can you all go ahead and mute? You just joined us, make sure you are on mute.
I only started with last minute.
That's okay, I got it. All right, so all right, we got about 9 people. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with that first question. All right, so what qualities or characteristics would you use to describe a successful adult? What qualities or characteristics would you use to describe a successful adult? On time, employed, motivated, organized, independent, kind, good communication. And you all can add more than one answer as well. The link is at the top of the screen, www.wooclap.com/NSHEDD. NSHEDD, and I guess I can also put it in the chat, wouldn't hurt. All right, and if you're having trouble joining, you're welcome to use the chat. And you can come off mute too if anyone wants to, talk about their answers as well. Oh man, that's tough.
John, I'll share off chat. I think that it's really important for follow through when you say that you're going to do something, that you actually do it.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I think a lot of people would be a lot more successful if we could just only do things we knew we were going to do and then actually do the things we say we're going to do. I think that's huge for me, for sure. So yeah, we got a lot of different responses right now. And I just want to take note. Does anyone see anything about SAT scores, straight A's? I'm not noticing anything about standardized tests, RIMI. And I think those things have a place, and they are valuable in relation to how well our students can do other things. So a lot of the stuff that is helpful is related to social and emotional learning. And we have to make sure that we are starting from that standpoint of beginning with the end in mind, so that we're crafting all of our interventions from that standpoint. Where do we want our kids to end up? So I'm going to ask one more question, or a few more questions. So this feature really just allows you to respond to three different questions related to event planning. And it may be a little weird, but each column is a different response. So what thoughts, feelings, or bodily reactions come to mind when you think of event planning? What types of events do you typically plan? And then what types of challenges do you typically experience during your event planning process? So we got about 2.5 minutes. We might not use all this time, but yeah. Anxiousness. And also, if you see an answer that someone else gave that you were going to give as well, you can also like it. Excitement. Overwhelmed. Scattered. Stressed. Anxious. Stressed. Anxious. Excitement. Okay. We got a few excitements. Yeah. Okay. We got some stressing. Yeah. And I think it's interesting as people are starting to answer the second question to see what types of events are coming to mind to make you feel that way. Dedicated, driven. Because the first answer was wedding. So then after that, I already knew why everybody was overwhelmed and stressed out. If you think about wedding planning. Whew. What a process. I'm gonna just be 100% honest too. As much as I did throughout the wedding planning process, it was a fraction of everything that my wife Chanel did. I think a lot of times I served as a barrier more than a breakthrough for her. So I'm glad that we actually made it to the altar and we're still together. Open houses, trips, small groups. Ooh, yes. Birthdays, counseling programs, showers, large school-wide events. Okay, perfect. Career day. All right, we got about 40 seconds left. And then what types of challenges do you typically experience? Trying to be perfect, man, yes. That's facts, man. Relying on others to follow through with their responsibilities. Attendance. Yeah, man. Trips, okay. Trying to be perfect is still up there. Committee conflict. Could someone tell me a little bit more about what they mean by that, committee conflict?
I wrote that, John. It's Megan. I wrote that because from personal experience, I tend to take charge and overrun others on the committee to help plan for things. And so I have to constantly work on the dynamics of the committee working together, in making sure that everyone's getting along and working together for the common goal.
Got you. And I imagine there are a lot of people on this Zoom right now that have similar struggles. And I can definitely relate. if no one else can relate, I know that Yearwood and I both can relate. Relying on others to follow through, attendance, trying to be perfect, complaints, unplanned problems, and committee conflict. Okay, cool. So thank y'all for doing that. Let's slide back into our presentation. So today we're going to talk about a few things. And yeah, these are the things. A little bit about myself. My name is Nwosu, and I currently work at Garrett Middle School. This is my 4th year as a school counselor. This is also my 2nd career. I went to Georgia Southern University, where I was heavily involved in student organizations. That's where I really began to hone the craft of event planning. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I was president of our Black Student Alliance on campus, and a few other organizations really helped me develop some skills. After that, I started working in student affairs at the Georgia Southern University. And one thing that I really have noticed about the culture at our school is that we are really good planners at Georgia Southern compared to some other institutions of higher learning. And so one of the things that was interesting to me at my school when I came into K-12 education was that we weren't planning for the next fall in the previous fall, right? So at Georgia Southern, and I know a lot of people may do this, but we were planning for things almost a year in advance sometimes. And so that was really, really helpful. And that just kind of set the tone for me to really, get some skills to organize things in a helpful way. And then I'm also the past president of the National Black Graduate Student Association. We have a national conference. And so I was involved for several years with that planning experience. And so the larger the scale, the more complex the details and logistics are. And so, it's just been a really cool experience to have gone through all of that. I didn't know it would help me in the way that it has now that I'm a school counselor full time, but it did. So that's just a little bit about me. And Ms. Yearwood.
Yes, so my name is Rhonda Yearwood. I am the former Communities and School Site Coordinator at Garrett. I am still a community partner. John listed a few of my titles. Sometimes I feel like I'm a jack of all trades because I've done so much. I have always worked with students. I've coached some STEP teams. I'm from Florida, so I worked for DFACS down there, and also did event planning. I had my own wedding and event planning business, so I understand all the stresses that comes along with actually planning an event. I think that's what John lacked at his wedding planning stage. He might have been less stressed, but he didn't know me that well to hire me at that time, but it's okay. I also did coach people starting their business. So if they wanted to start a wedding planning business, I had my own school where I would actually train wedding planners. And it's crazy because being a site coordinator for communities and schools, I've actually used every single skill that I had in any job I had prior to do that job, including being in law enforcement. So I was just excited about being able to continue to partner with John, even though I'm not at the school anymore. Like I said, I'm still a community partner. It's been amazing. And it is a lot of work when you're trying to plan multiple events. It's been a challenge during COVID because it's been virtual and everything has been online, but we've managed to get through it. Actually seemed like it was easier last year too, because it was face to face and we did everything all in 1 week I think it was like less than 2 months. So it's been an amazing ride. So thank you all for being here.
Yes, absolutely. And when we talk about an event, it's a thing that happens, especially one of importance. I think that's a really simple definition. And when we talk about future-proof, it's unlikely to become obsolete. I want us to think about that in reference to our students. Are we preparing them for tomorrow, or are we preparing them for yesterday? Are we giving them skills that will be helpful in this moment, or are we giving them transferable skills that will be helpful always? So that idea of future-proof really resonated with me. And as Yearwood and I started, working together and bouncing ideas off each other, this is kind of what emerged from this process over the last couple of years. And future proofing is the process of anticipating the future and developing methods of minimizing the effects of shocks and stresses of future events. And if you've been to my presentations recently, you probably have heard me mention the term anti-fragility, but I think that is a really powerful concept. If you think of something that's fragile, if you drop it or it experiences an unexpected shock, then it's likely to break or crack. If you think of something that is robust or resilient, if it experiences a shock, it may not break, or if it drops, it will get back up, but it is the same after that experience. When we think of anti-fragile, those are things that get stronger through chaos. And so that is for me an endpoint for my students. When you think of your muscles and you work them out, you get stronger, right? When you think of your immune system, when it's exposed to different germs, it gets stronger. And of course there are limitations, but there's a threshold after which there are diminishing returns. And once you work out so much, you can be hurt, right? But it's my goal to help my students develop skills that will help them learn from whatever challenges they're going through and come out better on the other side. And I know a lot of you feel that way as well. So talk about Future Week 2019. This is where it all started. And we collaborated with these schools and a few others. And one of our major events was actually a student panel. So we're going to talk about it more in a second, but that's what these pictures are from. And in 2009, our theme was Your Future is Coming. I'm not a big fan of the show Game of Thrones, but I know a lot of people are, but that was the inspiration for it. And no matter what our students do, the future is going to be here, right? Time waits for no person. So that was the concept behind that. We created a flyer that really organized all of the information, our why, our how, our what, and then who we are looking for and who is our intended audience. And so on Monday, we did real student stories. High school students spoke to 8th graders, and then our SGA members and other leaders spoke to 7th and 6th graders. Tuesday, we had a cluster-wide magnet info session for families. The magnet info session was it had not come up yet. So we also were able to connect with a Spanish interpreter, Mr. Mieles. He gives us a ton of help. He works in South Cobb, but he spent some days at Garrett as well. So that was helpful. And from what I was told, it was kind of uncommon for Spanish speaking families to have that support. So that equity piece is really important to me. So we tried to work hard to ensure that whenever possible. On Thursday, we had the Future Day mini conference and virtual college fair. Student leaders actually served as guides, and then they practiced SEL skills with volunteer speakers. They were linked with speakers, and we kind of supported them and encouraged them to network with the speakers. One of our students actually left with contact information. He was interested in joining the Army. So we were very intentional about pairing speakers and students based on their interests. And so he was really excited about that experience. And then Friday, we had Reality U, a financial literacy simulation, which was the contribution from one of them, the largest contribution from communities and schools. And then as far as our ASCA mindsets and behavior standard, we made sure that we aligned everything with, with the ASCA models. So yeah. When we talk about Future Day, we did organize a bunch of different people to come through. And Yearwood, do you want to speak to this event?
Yeah, so Future Day, what we call Career Day with a Twist, consisted of a group of speakers. We had, and I think it might be on the other slide, people that came in, like you mentioned, from the military that spoke to our students. We also had the U.S. Marshals, I believe someone from the banking industry. We also had this day, I believe, was a college virtual tour as well. We had someone to come in and talk about, what it takes to be in college and what to expect. Our students were able to even with the U.S. Marshals try on you know, the vest to hold the shield. They also brought their explosive dog who actually did a demonstration. So the students were very in tune, very impressed with the different career paths. Some things they didn't even know that they had an option. I believe, you know, some of the students never even heard of U.S. Marshal. They didn't even know what it meant to be one. So that was our Future Day last year.
And the person in the cap and gown actually was a TTIS, and so we reached out for help. We were collaborating, and she invited her whole team to lead different college sessions for the virtual tour. So that was kind of cool, and that was their idea to dress up in cap and gowns as well.
We also had Mr. Hines, who's an entrepreneur. He owns his own business. I believe it's the custom suits, correct, John?
Yeah, Harrison and Hines, and so he and his partner actually design and create custom suits. And so this was our team. You know, we worked with our SGA very heavily, and yeah, they were some rock stars. They were super helpful.
This, our Reality U workshop, which is normally put on by communities and schools. Some of you may or may not be familiar with it, but basically our 8th grade students were given an opportunity to see what it's like in real life to be an adult. So they had a 26-year-old student profile that was created based off of a survey that they took the week before. Each booth, as you can see in the presentation, there's a child care table. There was a housing table, a shopping center, we had financial services. So on their profile, they had whether or not they were married, if they wanted to have children, if they had student loans. It had their spouse's income. And so they would actually be paired up with a spouse if they chose to have a spouse. And they would actually have to go to each one of these tables and pay bills and actually balance out their checkbooks. The reality setting prior to the actual workshop, because of the survey, based off of their GPA, they had to figure out what occupation they qualified for. So if your GPA was a 2.5, you could not select the occupation of a doctor. And so at that point, they were like, well, I don't want to do janitorial work, or, you know, I don't want to be a farmer. Like, I want to do more. And so our teachers, our wonderful math teachers, because middle school doesn't have GPAs, they helped them to calculate that. And we were told that throughout the entire remainder of the school year, they were constantly asking if their GPA had improved, because it kind of made them think, well, I really need to, you know, focus and really be serious about my work. So I think Reality U is a great workshop, especially for teenagers and high school students.
So prior to the start, this is where everyone was actually given their information for their profile. And so, yeah, we helped coordinate that part. And then we just kind of got them in the right mindset. Some students were, they didn't know what to expect. This is where also there were announcements about marriage. And so if you signed up to be married, you had your spouse now too. And so you had to go through everything together as a couple if you signed up for that. And so you had students who were demanding divorces after they found out that their partner had a lower credit score, or if you know, they had kids and one of the partners didn't want to you know, take care of the kid. They were trying to just go through the everything by themselves. So you see a lot of patterns that actually play out as adults, and they got to get exposed to it earlier so that they can come up with strategies to overcome those challenges in the future. And as you can see, it was real, right? They got baby. Our students really enjoyed them. And some of them were making light of the situation. Some of them were taking it very seriously though. Like a good amount of them were very focused on making sure that they went to all the booths, they had enough money. And one thing that I thought was really cool is if you ran out of money, there was a booth specifically designed for you to either pick up an extra job or go back to school to get some more education so that you can increase your earnings. So, I mean, it was a really good experience to have it in person. And so it's something that we're looking forward to doing every year. It is something that I think 8th grade is recommended as the lowest grade to do it with. And I can definitely understand why we wanted to start with our 7th graders and incorporate something called junior achievement and focus that on our 8th graders. But yeah, Reality U for 8th grade was a good fit.
John, I would say I have participated in some reality U workshops where the kids were younger than the 8th grade students. You have some pretty sharp, 5th and 6th graders, but for the most part, they didn't really quite comprehend it as much. I feel like we would have to tweak it a little bit so that they could understand it a little bit better.
So this year, Future Month turned into this from, it emerged from Future Week. And of course, this was in response to everything that was going on. It was much more challenging to plan a week's worth of events since COVID had all types of restrictions. Anyway, we can't really get visitors into the building and things of that nature. We also were really, really interested in doing something. So my principal was really helpful in kind of guiding that conversation. Ms. Brown has been really, really supportive throughout all of this. And she was like, why don't you just do it on Wednesdays? Why don't you do it virtually? Because yeah, why not? And so we ended up turning that into meeting our students' needs, because from many conversations, we just understood that attendance is just low on Wednesdays. Students treat Wednesdays like a Saturday, it's no secret. And so we were hoping to use this as a way to re-engage them and get them excited about school, and think of Wednesday not as a day off, but just as really a work from home day. So this was our intro message, and I'd be happy to share this. I know I've gotten requests about this information, but yeah, it was very straightforward. We kind of just gave an outline of what last year looked like. Early on, we didn't have the framework fully built out, and so this is how we recruited our team. So on the school side, I actually led Naviance lessons. And so I did a Future Month pretest that kind of asked a few questions about whether or not school is important. What's the relationship between attending school and my grades? Do I know what I want to do when I get older? So a few different Likert types of questions, and then some open-ended questions about what are you concerned about? Is there anything that you're interested in your future? Is there anything that you want to know more about? So I use that data to drive our trainings and all of our events throughout the course of the month. And then I also used the results from their Strengths Explorer in 8th grade to drive some of the career interest information and career strengths information. So as we were planning different events like the Future Fair this year, which was basically the career fair, but with a future twist, I asked students, what are your top 4 career interests? And so these responses are actually from students from all over the district that attended the event, and that helped with speaker selection. And then I also asked about some demographic information, including whether or not they spoke Spanish fluently, because like I said, one of the intentions was to get as many interpreters for the sessions as possible. It didn't work out the way that I was hoping this year, but that is something that we're considering in the future, is how to engage students more effectively who only speak Spanish, or that is their predominant language right now. And then also I wanted to make sure that we were finding speakers that were aligned with the population of students that were going to be in the building. So as you can see, we had a high amount of Black students who actually signed up and wanted to participate. And thinking about things for next year, we know that we want to increase the diversity of the event, but the speakers reflected the people in the audience, and that was very important to me as well. This is just an example of the career pathway sheet that I did for our 8th grade students. So I gave them the sheet for them to fill out. This is an example. So it just asked about things in Naviance that they would need to find during their lesson. So this year we had Future Month, and it was cool. We had some really great experiences over the course of the month, and yeah, this was kind of our landing page. I sent this link out and worked really diligently with Ms. Yearwood to make sure that all the information was on point. We also collaborated with Ms. Brown, my principal. She came up with the idea of having a welcome and official one-pager for everything Future Month. So the main theme this year was flexing on your future. It's super important to be flexible given these very complex times and unprecedented situations. But then also, if you put in your work and you develop really, really powerful skills and you know how to use them well, it's okay to flex, right? It's okay to show off the things that you do well. So we wanted to make sure that students understood that. Our Future Month focus were 3 main things. Do now what will help later, so present you helps future you. Collect information that could become pieces of your future puzzle. And then reset, control what you can, and navigate uncertainty to create your best future. And then we have 4 themes. So all the events that we did throughout the month resonated with these 4 themes: thinking, doing, choosing, and being. So we asked people about what mindsets help them be successful, the transferable skills that would allow middle schoolers to be successful in all other areas of their life, what actions really help them make the most of their mindset and the skills that they picked up, and then also what's really important, right, in terms of identity and character. A lot of times we ask our students, what do you want to do when you get older? But we don't ask them who do they want to be when they get older. So I wanted to really make sure that all those things were encapsulated in the event. And our planning team, Ms. Brown was heavily involved, and then Ms. Crump was our assistant principal. If you choose to move forward with an event like this, just make sure that you have admin on board, because there were a lot of information that I was not privy to. There were a lot of planning and logistics things that the school had going on that could have easily clashed with some of the planning that we had. So it was good for us to be in communication with them the whole time. And then we worked with other Garrett staff. We worked with communities and schools, the Construction Education Federation of Georgia. That was a relationship with Don Mann. A lot of you all know her, but she was very instrumental in making sure that this whole month was effective as well. And then WorkSource Cobb. So Garrett Middle School has a diverse student body of current and future leaders who are striving to become better. Any participant that volunteered for the Future Fair was exposed to this information that I'm showing you. So even though they don't go to Garrett every day, when they attend an event or they volunteered for an event, they were a part of our community. So as a PBI school, we are real, respectful, engaged, accountable leaders. And so everyone got that information. And one of the pieces of feedback that we got was that during the sessions, you actually heard speakers using language like this. So it was just reinforcing the things that our students learn on a daily basis. Our student success panels were really awesome. We had 4. During the first hour, we had, flexing on 8th grade and flexing on high school, designed for students who are soon going to be moving to that level. And then in hour 2, we had flexing on magnet schools and flexing after high school. So what was really cool about that is we actually had students from all over the district. We had every magnet school represented except for Cobb Innovation Technology Academy, CETA, I think that's what it's called. But, the students really enjoyed that. And the students also enjoyed the high school session. Ms. Yearwood and I moderated, to each of the sessions during both hours. And I know there were a ton of students who got a lot from both the sessions. Did you want to share?
I think when we did this portion, because of last year, we understood the importance of prepping before this in regards to questions, because sometimes the students are a little shy or they're not really sure what questions to ask. So we kind of prepared for that and had questions readily available to ask. I like the fact that it was raw conversation, so it wasn't really stuffy. It was very laid back. And our students really enjoyed it. They learned a whole lot. I mean, I learned some stuff too, just with the college portion, but it gave them an opportunity to, talk to someone, I guess, closer to age for them, and to also, be able to ask the questions they're afraid of. One of the questions, which I thought was really important, one of my kids asked was, how do you deal with the pressures of doing what your parents want versus what I really want to do in life? And so we were able to address questions like that, and it was just really awesome. So I'm an advocate for it every day. Like, I feel like that's something we need to do just about once a quarter.
I mean, real talk though, because, it sounds different coming from peers, right? Or students who are closer to your age. So that was really helpful. And then I just want to shout out South Cobb and Osborne and Pebblebrook and a few other schools who really helped us organize with the students and make sure that we connected with everyone. So we definitely appreciate Angela Hurley for the magnet presentation as well, because she was the one who coordinated with all the other coordinators to ensure that we could have all schools represented.
One other thing, John, I will say for our students that participated in the panel as far as being the speakers and also participating as being a person in the audience, it gave them an opportunity to be a leader because they had never done anything like that before. So they were nervous, but they were excited to be able to speak to their peers and to offer some of their knowledge from what they had learned.
And I like there's so much to share. I know we're short on time, but I did want to say the PowerPoint will be made available. But to your point, we had one student who in 6th grade and 7th grade, on average, whenever I was done talking to the student, it wouldn't take too many days or too many minutes sometimes for me to be like, man, I feel like I'm ramming my head to a brick wall, because he would make a decision that would be contrary to everything that we talked about. And so he came back 8th grade. He was actually recommended by one of the teachers to be a panelist because, you know, he was doing great this year. So we had him on, and to hear him speak and share some of the stuff that we had conversations about, really, when I tell you it was meaningful and it really was affirmational, like it was, right? So, you know, just if you need another reason to do something like this, that's a great reason. And then you want to speak to the Future Fair?
So the Future Fair this year was more than what I imagined that we would be able to do, because we had about 36 speakers. And so each one of them had, you know, their own room, and the students, again, they enjoyed being in there, asking the questions. Some of these actual professions, I'm sure they had never heard of. Some of them I hadn't even heard of. So again, I learned a lot while the students were learning. As you can see, we had the different blocks. And it was a lot to be able to have the links and have people in and out of the rooms. I don't know how John felt. I mean, I felt good about it. I don't know if he was stressing on his end or not, but it was almost, I feel like it's more successful this year as it did last year with the speakers, just because we had so many and people were actually able to ask their questions.
Man, absolutely. And so I mean, she know the answer to the question. On the back end, I was definitely stressing. I thought it was a dumpster fire, and I was checking it. We had a group chat for everyone who was a host and a volunteer. So I was checking in with everybody, and they were like, "Oh yeah, everything's running smoothly." So I was getting all of these emails like, "I can't get in. I don't know what my link is." And because students don't read their emails, parents don't read their emails, but yeah, it was great to hear from them that things are running smoothly, and all the feedback from every event in future months so far has been awesome. So I'm gonna just highlight some of these things. Reality U this year was a little different. Obviously it was online, but the students got a lot out of it. And even though we experienced it last year and we were thinking, it's not as great as it was, the students were like, cool. And the teachers were like, cool. Like, so it was still effective. So if you're interested in doing Reality U, there's information in the slideshow. And then, yeah, they are doing virtual sessions. We were the pilot. So we kind of, we were the guinea pig this year. So I guess you're welcome. And then the Jobs and Opportunities Fair is, you know, tomorrow actually. And so we are, yeah, the cutoff today is 5 p.m., but there are going to be really cool opportunities there, including a career academy for middle school students and a career boot camp for high school students. And then there are also going to be a hot job session and that is through WorkSource Cobb. So like I said before, all of this has to be community wide, because if we want to increase stability of the schools, we have to increase stability of the home. If we want to increase and improve social and emotional learning skills for students, we have to make sure that parents have the capacity and they're not so stressed out to be able to reinforce what we're doing in school, and vice versa. We want to be able to reinforce the good things that are going on at home too. So, you know, that was the idea of making sure that folks had access to jobs, with unemployment rates being higher now because of COVID. So yeah, we've experienced some challenges, but overall, like I said, all the feedback has been awesome. And then we had Snapchats. Our principal was in support of us using our advisement periods to bring speakers in and basically interview them. So that's a strength of mine. That's something I'm passionate about. I love PD. And so I was able to infuse that throughout the month. And so I have Miss Mirna Wynn, but Dr. Wynn was actually our most recent speaker, and she came yesterday. Everyone loved all of the speakers. So yeah, it was great. And then here's the marketing for all of the events. All of this was done with Canva, and we collaborated with different people to do it. For most of these, I did them, but yeah, like you can do this stuff. Like it's super easy, especially with all of these resources. And Ms. Yearwood, super effective at making sure that we get stuff done. And that's another really important thing, because as we talk about feedback, and in a second when we talk about our triumphs and tribulations, she's going to kind of share some of the things that we really went through, and some of the things that are going to help us do this even better in the future. So feedback that we got from students, I just want to highlight two, right? One is from a teacher. I can't wait for next year. So as many meetings as we had trying to promote this thing, we just did not have a whole lot of participation and engagement. And really, it's because it was difficult to explain what this thing was. There was a lot of moving parts, and we were trying to figure it out as we go. And I really don't like the idea of trying to build a plane while you're on the way down, right? But that's kind of what it's been. And I keep finding myself in situations like this. We talk about self-care. I know I need to practice that. But to hear a teacher say, I can't wait, and then once they see the vision and be able to spread that is powerful. And then the other one that I want to share is, to be completely honest, I didn't know that the Future Fair was going to be this helpful and fun. So I really enjoyed my time today. So that was from a student, and that really, really puts into words basically what I think we've been experiencing this whole time. It's like, I didn't know what to expect. Why? Like, I have so many things coming at me. Why should I use my time on this thing? It's just another thing. But, we're trying to break through so that folks recognize the brand and know what to expect in the future. And these are all the schools that are represented. One or more students from these schools either participated or volunteered in Future Month. So we're super thankful for everyone who spread the word and got the information out, and for all the students who dedicated their time to participate. So do you want to speak to any of the triumphs, or what you want to do?
So I will speak on some of these. Plan several quality events. Well, for one, again, it's a lot of work. We did this by ourselves last year. And so this year we had a lot more people involved. And so, when you have more people involved, everyone's kind of on their own agenda. So if you do this and you have, more than 2 or 3 people involved, you just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Make sure that you have your to-do list. Make sure everyone knows what their responsibilities are and what the deadlines are, because we missed some deadlines, and that kind of backfired, and it's caused some even more challenges and rescheduling of things. And you also I like the trust and reputation portion. You got to be able to trust your partner. Like, I trust John, and John knows what I'm capable of. I know his strengths, he knows my strengths. You got to make sure you have a strong partner and someone that's willing to dedicate the time that you're willing to dedicate to it. Also, I think that some of our students didn't know the value of this. Some of our parents didn't know the value of this. Someone mentioned in the chat, I wish they would have had something like this in the 6th grade. And I tell the students all the time, and John will tell you, I didn't have this when I was younger. You can't get older and say, and cross paths with me when you get older and say, I didn't have anyone to do this for me, because it's not the truth. I want to make sure that you have all the experience, all the knowledge that I have in me that I can pour into you. And that's what the Future Month did. It was just, to me, it's always amazing, because this isn't something you're taught in your core classes. So I could go on and on about this, but the other thing was there wasn't enough time in some of the sessions when they got really, really good. We didn't have enough time, and it almost went over. So like I said, sometimes I feel like we need to be having these conversations, if we can, once a quarter, and just like pick up where we left off. And then the other thing is just prepping the students and prepping the parents. Some of our parents allow the kids to decide, for the Future Fair. I had some parents like, oh, my daughter said the portion for the lawyer was full, so there wasn't anything else that she wanted to do, or, any other speakers she wanted to listen to. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's like 36 speakers. There has to be somebody else on there that she would want to listen to. Can you look at it again? So sometimes just kind of like reinforcing and, making sure you follow through with the parents to make sure that they're getting this information and that they're getting the experience.
Facts. We could obviously go on for days and days about this stuff, but feel free to contact us if you have any questions or comments. I just want to go over a few event planning tips for school counselors, and then general planning tips, because I know one of the pieces of feedback that I hear a lot during presentations like this is, y'all just showed us what you did, you didn't show us how to do it. So first of all, in terms of alignment, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is congruent with the school and district success plans. So as school counselors, obviously, You know, we have 3 tiers of intervention, and we're supposed to focus on academic, social, and career development. And then we define, deliver, manage, and assess. That's a part of our ASCA model, our comprehensive school counseling program model. And so, yeah, this delivery piece is really important. And how do we know if we're successful? You need to have something to evaluate by. You need to have some standards that you're working towards. So we know we're being successful if we help increase the way students show up, grow up, glow up, and so up. And this is taken straight from our standards. School counselors use achievement, attendance, and/or discipline data to create annual student outcome goals aligned with school improvement plans. And then we also work toward a school climate that embraces diversity and promotes academic, career, and social emotional development for all students. So if you have any issues with role identity at your school, then you can always stand on your ethical practice as a school counselor. You may have to advocate for your role, but not only is it in line with your role to be doing this, it's also what's best for students. And those are 2 selling points that get people on board that may otherwise not be. Event planning tips for school counselors. Again, use the ASCA model, and then the school data summary and annual administrative conference are really helpful. And remember, we're supposed to be closing the information attainment, achievement, and opportunity gaps. And so the program implementation plan is a part of the annual administrative conference. And if you use your classroom and group mindsets and behavior action plans, you're closing the gap action plans in your annual calendar, it can work wonders in terms of your event planning. And then you want to identify gaps and trends in the data. So looking for behavior, attendance, and achievement data to help close those gaps is really important. And then event planning tips. The link to this article is in the PowerPoint. I highly suggest reading it. It's from Wild Apricot, which is an event planning services company. But develop your event goals and objectives. So why are you organizing an event? Organize your team. Who is the coach? Who are the team members? What are the responsibilities? Establish your budget. What will it cost to execute your plan effectively? Set the date. Do you have enough planning time in relation to the size of the event? Create an event master plan. How will you keep track of all the moving parts of your event? Book your venue. Make sure that the space that you need is available and booked. The sooner you can do it, the better. And I do recommend planning for the fall, in the spring, if possible. Get to the point where you are able to plan so far in advance that everyone else will have to plan around you. And that, I think, alleviates a lot of challenges that often come with limited capacity and space in buildings. And then in the virtual setting as well, it helps people schedule around what you need them to do. Brand your event. How will you communicate your promise to potential attendees? So when people come to something that you do they think, oh, this is going to be whack? Or do they think, oh, this is Miss Yearwood, I know it's going to be dope? So be intentional about that self-awareness and understanding how people perceive the things you do, and make sure that you are improving your brand so that people know how what you do stands out, because everyone's getting a million things all the time. And that's a challenge that we all have to try to figure out how to overcome. Identify and establish partnerships and sponsors. Who and what organizations will mutually benefit. Think of natural partnerships, because that can really be helpful. Create a publicity plan. How are you going to get the word out? And then determine day of processes. What is the detailed agenda of all event activities? So bonus, make sure that you have a post-event review. I think that's super important. A debrief really helps ensure that if you do the event again, it goes over better than it did. And how will you determine if your event is a success? How will you identify and document key takeaways? And then who should be involved in this process? And if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, I want you to remember this, because this is what has helped me at every stage of my life. Be so good they can't ignore you. Right. So whenever I failed in the past, and even if I've experienced success, I try to turn all the L's and W's into lessons. Right. And my goal is to make sure that whatever I do is so dope that somebody has to tell someone else about it. So thank you all. I know I had a hand raised. Shantae, did you want to say something, or did you have a question?
Hey, just really, no, I don't have a question. Just really quickly, I just want to say to everybody that's participating that being involved in what you all have done, I'm just, wanting to give you all kudos for what you've done. I mean, I can just lend confirmation to everything that you've been saying. And just for people that are thinking about doing this, please keep in mind that us at the district level, I am one of the district leaders, that because we're in a COVID environment and we're not in schools, we do have some flexibility that we did not have in previous years. So please feel free to reach out to us so that we can support you in any way that we can. And I support PBIS and non-PBIS schools. And Ms. Yearwood, Mr. Nwosu, you all were phenomenal in what you've done so far. And I'm pleased to be a part of what you're doing tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So y'all, you know, we appreciate you spending your time with us in this way. You're welcome to our resources and to the PowerPoint. And my goal really is, and I think both our goals really are to figure out how to help more students, because next year, you know, we want to ensure that more students sign up, more students get involved and are able to use the powerful information. And finding value in what we do is really important. Like number one is making sure that we provide value, and number two is making sure that we maintain healthy relationships. So I've learned a lot throughout this event planning process. This has been a professional development incubator for me. And I think also being real with the people that you work with is important, because there are very few people in my life that I really like can get mad at, or they've been mad at me and they've been clear about them being mad at. It's like we communicating about being upset with each other, not just the fluffy positive emotions. And so I can say that Yearwood is definitely one of those people in my life who yeah, will let me know when I'm messing up for sure. And yeah, man, that's yeah. You got anything else you want to say?
No. I appreciate you all being here. This was a great event, as always. I appreciate you, Mr. Nwosu, for everything that you do for the kids, for your ideas, for bringing me into it. I didn't know it was going to be this big, and now it's on thing. So thank you again.
All right, man, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. This was recorded, and I'll make sure that the slides are available to anyone who needs them. Feel free to contact us if you want us to send them directly as well. Take care. Thank you for the feedback.
Great job, John. Thank you, Miss Yearwood.